Hey everybody, I'm Wildman Wes, and welcome to a special edition of Game Central Station. I know my two cohorts aren't here today. I wanted to do something a little bit different. For those of you that probably have known me over the years, I've had a fascination with arcade games. And when I mean arcade games, I'm not necessarily talking about console games. I'm actually talking about the arcade coin-op cabinets that you would find back in the 80s and 90s. And there was one in particular game my friend showed me a little trick to back when I was a kid for the original Mortal Kombat by Midway. You see, I've always been fascinated about how arcade games work, the logistics of how the game can keep track of how many times it's been played, whether or not, or how long it's been played, certain characters have been used. And he showed me what is known as the EJB menu test. Now, basically how you access this is if you use the block buttons on both controllers a special amount of times and a very specific speed rate to make it happen. Now, I had to go back online and double check a couple times because I remember he had shown me, but I couldn't remember the exact pattern. So, that being said, I found out on two controllers right here that I'm going to be using. On controller 1, you start off hitting block 5 times. On controller 2, block 10 times. On controller 1, 2 times. Controller 2, 1 time. 2 on number 1, 3 on number 2, and finish off with 4 on number 1. I know, that's a lot to remember. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to show you all what I can, figure out exactly the logistics of the situation regarding this. So, that being said, I'm just going to record on this real quick, make sure that everything's working properly. And, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys what all the EJB has in store. So, we're just going to get this set up. Alright. Gotta wait for all the RAMs to start working. I'm just gonna make sure the volume is right, because sometimes I can't remember. Okay, good, we are good. Alright, let's see if I got it. Whoops, totally screwed up on the first attempt. Let's try this again. Boom! Goes the dynamite. So as you can see on the EJB menu test, we have things like a diagnostics test, coin bookkeeping, we have game audits. There's a hello screen that basically the creator, Ed Boon, wanted to give his special thanks for to everybody that he knew over the years that gave him support. So we'll definitely double check that a little bit later. Enter initials, character endings, and there's obviously the exit test menu. Now, one thing I found out through a little more research, the cabinets for Mortal Kombat 2 and MK3 and Ultimate MK3, if you go through the diagnostics test and you go through the CPU board, which I'm not going to be doing right now, you'll basically reset on this one to the beginning. But if you offset the CPU board test on MK2 and MK3 and MK3 Ultimate, you can actually flip the dip switches to be set the game to free play. Now, unfortunately, due to this being on emulator, you're not able to really do that because on the JAMA boards inside the cabinets, you have your dip switches set to a specific set piece. And on this one, obviously, I can't, but I'm just going to check the dip switch test. Here, obviously, you can see with the dip switches that are normally on a JAMA board, dip switch 1, that can depict whether or not you can use your fatalities and whatnot in the game. And dip switch number 2 is kind of interesting because of the fact of with the console versions with Mortal Kombat 1 for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, Genesis had a blood code and Super Nintendo didn't. So it's kind of cool seeing that you could actually switch the blood within the arcade system itself. Dip switch number 3 is for Johnny Cage when he does his split punch. Obviously he could do that to all the other male characters in the game. Sonya Blade, he would just do the splits. Let's see. A couple other ones are unused. On the other side, on the UJ2, the dip switch number 1 is for the coinage, and obviously free play would normally be under the UJ2 dip switch number 2. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have this on this one, so we're just going to hit a button to exit out of here. Now, moving on to here, we're going to go to the soundboard test. Usually, general test, I believe it just does a quick different number of things, but with the play sounds, I messed around with this the other day and just kind of listened around a little bit. And this is the first song that you hear for basically your opening fight during the tournament. When you're usually out in it's basically for the courtyard when Shang Tsung is out in the way back watching you compete. So I'm just gonna. Here's Goro's theme for his lair. And a lot of times what these EJB menus were for was anytime an arcade owner needed to double check anything, make sure there were no glitches, and make sure that the game was running properly, so then they could put it out on display for customers to come in and put in coins. And now with the invent of a lot of barcades or beercades, and even like my friend Doc Mack up in Galloping Ghost, I'm sure he's spent plenty of time going through a lot of these games, having to go with inside the cabinet, and there's a button behind the coin bank that can offset the dip switch to free play. So with that being said, here's a couple more different things. Sounds like more Liu Kang stuff. Alright, so we're going to back out of this real quick. Next thing we got is the coin bookkeeping, where it shows basically how many times each player has used coins. And obviously when I've played it, I've usually just inserted the coins on player 1, so obviously player 2 doesn't have anything really. It'll show paid credits. Obviously with this not being on free play, this was always meant to be for pay to play. As you can see here, we can see that $8 so far has been put into this. So we're just going to go back to main menu. Game audits. This shows any times that somebody's tried to put in any chip failures, basically for any glitches that have ever occurred within gameplay when the system has been on. Now, it says Green Ninja counter that there's 34. I've played this enough ROM-wise where I haven't seen Reptile appear yet. Now you can see how many times each character's been chosen. Now it shows Reptile battles. There's none whatsoever. And then, yeah, haven't beaten Goro or Shang Tsung yet on this. Stay with us, folks. Maybe one day in the near future, we'll try to see what we can do. And if I go into the hello, I'm just going to do that real quick. This is basically Ed Boon's thank you to everybody that was family and friends that helped out. So we're going to, I believe I'm going to have to back out of this, and we're going to have to go back into doing the code. So here we go. Nope. There we go. And one last thing I'm going to show you real quick is character endings. Now this, a lot of times people would do this if they had low pocket money that wanted to actually make it look like they beat the game to kind of impress their friends. They would do this code if they had known it. If maybe they found something off the internet, and it would take a long time back in the 90s to find a page that had one of these codes in there. I don't know exactly when the secret came out, but regardless, people are doing it nowadays in regular arcades, and I'm sure it's pissed off a lot of arcade owners. But we're just going to go with Liu Kang. I'm just going to show you one quick little ending. Little tidbit of information, the actor that played Liu Kang was Ho Sung Pak. Anybody who's seen Jackie Chan's movie Legend of Drunken Master, he plays one of the gang members, basically, that walk around in the suits. So he's the one that I believe smacks Jackie Chan's mother in Legend of Drunken Master. So little fun fact right there. Now, when you do this code or this EJB menu trick, watching the end credits on this, it glitches where normally they're supposed to line up across the entire screen as each name is being called off. But by the time it gets to Sub-Zero, it crashes, and now they're just kind of, conglomerating in one group right here. So unfortunately, we won't really get to see the whole one, and it's basically going to revert back to the boot up screen. So other than that, this is the Mortal Kombat EJB menu test. I figured, a lot of people have been doing this, I know, but I thought it'd just be kind of cool to do it, show you that I still remember some of these things, and wanted to show you that I'm able to do it, and maybe pass that knowledge on to you in case you have any type of emulators on your systems, and you want to try this test out and just kind of get an idea firsthand of, what you can do with that ROM. So other than that, we hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share, and as always, push the red button, hit that little bell for some instant notifications on upcoming segments. We got a lot of stuff coming up. I know we say this a lot. I have been working on some on-location episodes regarding some organizations and benefits, taking a little bit of a serious note to our, wild and wackiness on this channel. I mean, I know we have a lot of fun, but at the same time, we want to show you that we are real, that, we actually, care about our viewers, our subscribers, as well as everybody around the community. We want to give back. So we hope you stay tuned for those episodes. Until then, I'm Wildman West, and we'll see you next time.